Hello and welcome to my channel. I have deliberately kept my screen dark to symbolize the darkness we are kept in by cunning people out there. Let us hope that someone out there someday can lead us into light. Said that, let's dive into today's topic, and that's climate change. Climate change, yes. Today, that is one of the topics that most of us discuss, and let there be light. Okay, climate change. When it comes to climate change, I'm not here to discuss whether climate change is true. Some people say, yeah, scientists say that there is climate change, and there are some believers who say that climate change is a hoax or something that is, that is not true. So I'm not going into the topic whether it is true or not true, or whether there is climate change or not. But let's say that there is climate change. Okay, let's go with the topic that the majority believe that there is climate change. Okay, so talking about climate change, when was the first initiative taken towards climate change, or when was there a mainstream gathering or a group of people joined to discuss about climate change? For that, we need to move backward into a summit, or let's say a gathering that was held in Kyoto, Japan. That's called the Kyoto Protocol, where a lot was discussed on the environment and how we humans should preserve the environment so that it could bring better things to the future generations. But Kyoto Protocol was back in the 70s, actually. The late 70s, then diving into the early 80s. It's been 40 years, more than 40 years since Kyoto Protocol. What have these people done with regard to climate change? How have they improved the environment? Today, climate change is a burning issue because that summit or that gathering had failed to work. How did they fail? Did they move into the wrong direction? Did they take us in the wrong path, actually, when we discuss climate change? According to me, this is my own thoughts. Kyoto Protocol was not just to discuss about climate change or to discuss about the environment. No, it was all about discussing about how money can be brought into a cause. There's a lot of money involved in climate change. When I say there is a lot of money involved, think about this. When would a politician talk about a topic, actually? There should be some kind of money involved in it, or some kind of benefit involved in it. That's when a politician would talk about a topic, actually. And that is one topic that politicians have talked about. That is climate change. In American politics, the one guy who started talking about climate change, maybe there were many before, but in the mainstream, as part of his presidential campaign, there was one guy. There is a guy, in fact. He's not. I hope he's not dead yet. Yeah, Al Gore. He was the first one to discuss climate change. So, what did he do actually for climate change? There is a simple relationship between trees and the climate, actually. It's all about carbon. The basic stuff about climate change is carbon. And we all know that we take in oxygen and give out carbon, and the trees do the reverse. So the more trees, it is better for this environment. So all these people who have been discussing about climate change on the center stage, how many hectares of land, or barren land, let me say, have they reclaimed and turned into forests? 36% of land should be forests. That's the magic number. And today we are at 32 to 33%. We have come down a long way down actually. We are down by 3 to 4%. Now thinking about that, don't you think these climate activists or people who take the center stage and talk about climate change should move towards increasing the forest cover? And that would have a big impact on restoring the climate. 36% is the magic number. And what have these activists and proponents of climate change have done to increase that forest cover? As I told you, the discussion started way back 40 years back, way back in the 70s. And it's been 40 years. It's just not 2, 3 years, it's 40 years. And in these 40 years, we have seen only a reduction in the forest cover, not an increase in the forest cover. So what happened to all that money that went into climate change? People donate a lot of money into climate change. What happened to all those money? What happened to all that money? Now, we discussed about whether climate change is real or not. Yeah, let's keep it real for now. Then again, discussed about the politicians who talk about climate change, but there haven't been much of a help from them. The real activists are out there. They don't appear in the Times magazine cover. They don't appear in the center stage talking about climate change. They are into real work. And one of them is an environmental activist from India. His name is Jadav Payang. He turned a huge area into a forest. Now he is the real activist actually, and not those people who speak on center stage about climate change, and not those Hollywood stars who speak on an Oscar stage about climate change and climate pledge. He's the real star. He made a difference. Then again, many of your climate activists know that China doesn't comply with all these emission norms and things like that. But China has made a huge stride towards climate change, and that is converting a huge barren land into forest. And if you want, you can Google it up. It's the name of the area is Sainba, Saihaba, Sainba. That's the area that China has converted into forest actually. A huge forest. Now, if a single man or a country like China can do something better towards climate change, why not others? Why not the people who take center stage and talk and only talk about climate change take such initiatives? How many politicians in America who talk about climate change have converted hectares of land into forest? I tell you, 36% is the magic number. That's where we need to go. That's where we need to proceed towards. 36%. 36% of forest cover. And how many politicians or how many activists out there are going towards that direction of increasing the forest cover from 32, what is right now, to 36%? Now, talking about forest cover, people talk a lot about the oil and the digging of oil. We should all get converted to kind of electric cars and things like that, fuel emissions and all that. Have you ever thought about where this paper comes from, the paper that we use? It could be any paper, and it could be toilet paper too. Do you know that 15% of the trees are used for toilet papers? How many activists out there have stopped using toilet paper because trees are felled for the use of toilet paper? They talk about not using fossil fuel, but why not talk about not using toilet paper? Why not talk about not felling trees? Is it possible? No. Some customs, some cultures have been into using toilet paper for years together. It's very hard for them to come out of it. So what do? We need to use toilet papers. At the same time, we need to have we need to have some concern on the environment. So what do? We need to grow more trees. The more trees you fell, double the number of trees that you grow. 15% is the number. 15% of trees felled are used as toilet paper, or used for making toilet paper. Now, there in the eastern side of the world, like there are cultures that use water instead of toilet paper. Yes, and talking about using water, the Japanese are the best actually when it comes to toilet usage. I think most of you would have heard about the Japanese toilets. It's not that they just clean your ass, it's that they decorate your ass actually. Your ass is good to go for a beauty contest after using their toilets. Seriously, it's that good actually. They even powder your ass after you're done. So let's talk about that on a different day. So coming back to climate change. So how much has been done, and how many people who are talking about climate change have done enough to grow trees? Not many. Not many. And I, along with all the listeners out there, hope that there could be someone out there, someone who can show us the right path, who can lead us into light from all the confusion that exists and all the cunningness that exists. It's just not about climate change, it is about piousness in what we do. Could there be a leader who could be pious? Could there be a leader who can show us the right way? Could there be a leader who can take us out of darkness and show us the path towards light? Who can take us away from ignorance, from all that is present, for all the things that are poured into our minds actually by all these people who are motivated towards money. And climate activists, I'm not saying each and every activist out there is not doing their duty. I have one more suggestion actually to climate activists. Instead of blocking roads, instead of getting in front of buildings, instead of destroying things around, why not gather up and use all the money that is poured into climate change organizations to convert barren land to forests? Why not you all gather together, make a plan, decide the place which is going to be converted, go to that place, camp yourself, and convert that place into a forest. Why can't you all do that? You all come here from all parts of the world just to say, do something about climate change. When you have the money, when you have the time to come and gather where a climate change summit is held, why not gather at a barren land? Ask your leaders to provide you all with money and support to create forests. It is not too late. It is not too late. Never it is too late. It is time to awaken and move towards that direction that could bring real change. And let's look towards that one person out there. That it could be anyone, a man or a woman, who shows us the right direction. At the end of the day, all that matters is forests. We need to increase the forest cover. We need to increase. All the people who take climate activism to talk or who make a pledge towards climate change, they should move towards building forests. Man made forests, yes, man made forests. China has done it. When a country like China can do it, why not other countries? When a single activist like Jadev Payang can do it, why not others? Why only talk? Why not get into the practical sense of it? Why not build forests? There have been a lot of talk about from people like how to convert barren lands. How are we going to move water to that place? Actually, it's barren because of the weather over there, the weather. But when there is enough money to build canals or oil pipelines, why not there be enough money to take water from wherever it is sumptuous to places where it is barren? Build forests. Why not scientists develop certain trees that use minimal water, but at the same time they can survive drought conditions? At the end of the day, it is not about fighting against fossil fuel. It is not about fighting against emissions. What is going to help us is growing trees, increasing the forest cover. 36% is the magic number. And let's all work, or let's say all these activists who talk about climate change work towards this 36%. That's the magic number. And once that is done, we or anyone on earth doesn't have to think about climate change or worry about climate change. People talk about saving the future generation. Yes, the future generation can be saved by increasing the forest cover. And another point to keep in mind is that let's not forget the earth we live in was just a piece of rock once upon a time. It was climate change that brought in a perfect environment for living things to survive. And everything which had a beginning would definitely have an end. So this earth we live in is also going to end. Or let's say the world that we live in is going to end, where life cannot thrive any longer. And that's not going to be in a few hundred years. It's going to take millions of years. And that's the process. It took millions of years for living things to appear on this earth, and took millions of years for humans to come up and live in the earth we live in. So it's going to take millions of years for the earth to be destroyed too. But before that, it's all about bringing good things to the next generation. What have we done for the next generation? And if we think in the direction that the climate is changing, let's talk about building forests. Building forests is the key for climate change. Talking on a Hollywood stage, on an Oscar stage about climate change, or talking about climate change When you're into when you're into some kind of an election, let it be a presidential election, or let it be a Congress election. That is not what matters. And please keep in mind, politicians speak about topics where money is involved, and climate change is one of them. There is a lot of money involved. There is a lot of money involved. People donate a lot of money. People are scared. People are scared about their next generation. People are sent into some kind of a, disturbed mind by all that comes in the media in the name of climate change. You look anywhere, they talk about climate change. Everything happens. If it rains, it's climate change. If it's too hot, it's climate change. If it's too cold, it's climate change. If it snows, it's climate change. Everything is related to climate change. People talk about climate change for each and everything that happens. And what people tend to forget is that all these things have been happening for it's just a common thing. It's been happening for years and years. Right now, there is a focus on it. Okay, I got it. For the section of people who think that, yeah, there is climate change and the world is not becoming a better place, why just talk about it? Take some initiatives. It's all about the basics. Trees take in carbon and they give us oxygen. The more the carbon, the more the climate change affects. So let's reduce the carbon. Let's reduce the carbon. Let's make trees use the carbon. When you say about climate change, environment directly plays an important role. And when you talk about environment, it is the trees. It is the trees. Of course, pollution is there. And just, water pollution is there. Trees can't do about, much about water pollution. Yes, thinks that's a totally different topic. But today, it's about increasing temperatures. I'm here to talk about increasing temperatures and how these temperatures, increasing temperatures or varied weather phenomenons that impact our day-to-day lives. How are we going to control them? We can't do much about controlling the climate, or we can't do much about controlling the natural phenomenon. But if we can take an initiative towards the right direction and not just think about money, be selfish, and then be cunning too. So, who is listening to me? If you're a climate activist, go to your leader and ask them or propose to them for increasing the forest cover on Earth. There are so many barren lands on Earth. So many. North Africa, Saudi Arabia, Middle East, even in the US, there are so many barren lands. India, Central India, Southern India, China, you name it and you have it. There is a lot of barren land. Why is it so difficult to find 3% or 3 to 4% of barren land and make them into real forests? Increase the forests. Tree cover is going to be very important in increasing, or let's say decreasing, the rise in temperatures. I'm sorry about that. It's about decreasing the temperatures, especially to climate activists. It's all about decreasing the temperatures. So, please give people the right knowledge and please move people towards the right direction. And let's hope that there is someone out there who takes us out from this darkness of ignorance. And finally, thank you for listening to me. And if you like my video, I thank you for that. And if you dislike my video also, I thank you for that, because you have given your time to listen to me. And I thank you for that. And if you want to know more or listen to more topics that I would be discussing, please subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Love you all.